GameBreaker TV.
Chris, everyone wants to know hitboxes. So talk to us about two things, how they affect your ability to attack and how do they affect your ability to be hit.
Gotcha. So the hitboxes in TERA are normalized, but they are slightly different.
Okay.
Like, you can't have something the size of a Baraka, one of the biggest guys,
yep,
and something the size of a Popori, very small, and have the same hitboxes, right? So there are pros and cons for both. What we do to make up for that is, for an attack, a Baraka has a wide swing, right? But a Popori, if you watch their animation, they do a leap and attack. So it's the same attack length, it's just a different way to get to it. The timing is the same, and all of that is the same. So attacking, it's all the same stretch, it's just how we disguise that with different animations and different swing types.
Okay, so if I were to use the ability on a group of mobs and close my eyes with either race, the outcome would be the same as far as the attack.
It would. I wouldn't recommend closing your eyes because you might miss aim.
Sure.
Because TERA is all about the action combat. But
yeah,
assuming everything is equal, then yes.
Okay. Okay. So like I said, you found some ways with the animations and such to make it normalize or make it equal from an attack perspective. And then what about someone's trying to shoot you or someone's trying to hit you? If you're a little round Popori versus a large, Baraka, what happens?
Yeah, and that's one of those things where there are trade-offs when you're getting hit. Like, if you are a big Baraka, you are an easy target to see and hit. If you're a Popori, you are a little bit more agile, a little bit more difficult, but you're also a lot harder to heal. So if you're in a group and if you're doing PvP or an instance like we were just doing, it's a lot harder to heal because, again, there's no tab targeting. Like, your healer has to get in and find you. So there are trade-offs for both sizes.
So aside from the tanks, the Lancers in PvP, because I can see some reason to want to be as large as possible, what have you guys seen as far as the data from the players in K TERA and J TERA as far as for PvP, people who are diehard PvP, like what races that they tend to favor?
Well, it's interesting, and it's not always what is best for PvP, it's what that particular area likes the best. So for example, like Japan really likes the Elan and Popori races, and those are by far the most popular.
Okay.
In America, based on the CBT data we've gotten so far, we have the Castanics and the Imani and the humans that are by far the most popular.
Okay.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's almost a stylistic choice because overall the PvP implementations are just not that great.
You're mentioning some way of being able to do something where you could buy gold from somebody? I wasn't quite clear exactly how that would work.
Yeah, so we have what's called a Chronoscroll, and it's really similar to Eve's Plex system. Okay. So let's use an example because I find that's the easiest way to do it. So you have got extra income, but not a lot of time. You've got a family, you don't have a lot of time to play, and I am your guildmate. I have a lot of time, and I don't have a family, and I don't have a lot of money. So what you can do is you can go onto our En Masse digital store, buy a Chronoscroll.
Okay, that for real currency in this case.
For real currency, for US dollars. Okay. And buy it, and it's equal to 30 days of game time. It's like buying a subscription in item form. Okay. You can have that delivered to your character in the game and put it up on the broker system. Because I have extra in-game gold and less real-world currency, can go through and spend my real-world gold to buy that 30 days of game time from you in our broker system and use it to keep my subscription and keep playing. Okay. You get that gold back, so you can buy skills, you can buy consumables, and you can use that to help keep up with me because you have less time and more expendable income. Okay. And I have more time and less expendable income. Okay,
so basically, any of the cash shop items, which are they all BOE or some of them BOP?
So this is really the only item that we're selling. Okay,
yeah. So this one item, so I can buy as many as I want using real currency because I have ample money, real money, but not much free time. Put them up on the brokerage system, people will buy them. I've now effectively traded my real money for virtual currency. Yeah. And then, and what do you do as far as the experience points? Do I still need to go out and do the questing and that kind of stuff as well?
Yeah, so one thing to correct, you won't be able to buy as many as you want. Okay. We'll be regulating how many people can buy. Right. Because again, it's not a way for us to make money as a publisher, it's a way for players to have a better place to exchange currency for game time inside the game. Yeah. Now, that being said, you will still have to go out and play the game just like normal. Like, you can't buy your way from level 10 to level 20 to keep up with me. You're going to have to go out there, you're going to have to earn the experience, you're going to have to earn the gear, because even if you buy better gear, you can't necessarily use it right away. You've got to go earn the levels to get the gear. Now, we think a lot of people are going to use the in-game gold exchange that we just talked about to buy skills, because skills are definitely a money sink in the game. To buy consumables, because that's another money sink, and just an overall help them get through some of the content faster, because you have more items available to you to use.
Okay. All right, so you mentioned you guys have implemented a Nexus Dynamic Event system. Do the number of mobs or the difficulty of those mobs scale based on the number of people who are participating, or is it kind of fixed and it's up to the players to get a critical mass of people to basically hold off the...
It's up to the players to get in there and get a critical mass.
Okay.
Now, that being said, we try to make it a public event system, so it's as easy as possible for players, no matter if you're typically a solo player or if you're in a group hunting, to just kind of jump right in without having to go to NPCs and get a quest and then go inside an instance and participate. We want to make it as easy as possible for the community to come together and repel these invasions.
And for the invasions, does in the game, is it like a facility for like auto joining a raid that's dealing with the Nexus? Is there in some games, or do you still the players need to coordinate, kind of invite each other and get that?
Players are going to need to coordinate to invite each other, because there's obviously a strategy involved in fighting off waves of monsters, kind of like what we just saw.
Yeah.
But that being said, when an event occurs, it's going to occur within a certain radius, so everybody's going to be. It's not occurring over a huge space of land, so there's definitely a mass that players are going to have to be in, so they're going to see who's there right away.
Okay. You mentioned that there's some way of controlling zones and having some buffs. Like, is that at the guild level, or how does that work in some persistent manner?
So the political system, essentially what that is you as a guild leader are able to be elected by the general population of all the players on your server to run one of 19 provinces within the world of Terra. Now, when you become a Vanarch, which is what we call essentially the governor of a province, you have the ability to do a wide range of things. You can influence tax rates on specific NPCs, like the teleport tax rate, the NPC general goods tax rate, the crystal tax rate, a bunch of different specific NPCs. You also have unique abilities like the ability to turn on trainers in your towns, turn on teleporters in your towns to make it easier for people to go from A to B, turn on specialty NPC goods so that you can only buy through Vanarch NPC sellers, so very, very unique items that you can only get through this site. And for PvP servers, you actually have the ability to toggle PvP on or off in your province.
Okay.
So it's a way so the election cycle is you are a Vanarch for 3 weeks, and then 2 weeks into that, the election cycle starts over. And then you have 7 days to campaign and run and get votes and actually register and potentially have other people register and run in campaigns against you to be elected to Vanarch again.
Okay, so let's say that we have a bunch of really honest, altruistic people, guild leaders who are trying to become elected as Vanarchs.
That's what the makeup is.
Well, exactly. Wouldn't they just flip all the positive switches to make things nice and easy, lots of teleports, extra trainers, et cetera, like...
Exactly. And what we've done to make that a bit more challenging is we have what's called Vanarch points. And Vanarchs have to constantly go out and earn these points to enable some of these systems.
All right, so we can yell at our Vanarch, yo, you need to get out there, you need to start farming some points here, we want more buffs,
Exactly.
We elected you, you need to, come on,
And that's part of what we think people are really going to do from a campaign perspective, because, exactly, you have to keep your promises, or you're not going to get reelected, and this takes a lot of constant upkeep. Like, turning on a shop costs 1,500 points per day. You don't turn it on for a 3-week cycle, you turn it on per day. And that's a lot of points. That requires a lot of questing for the Vanarch and their guild to go gather. So it's like they have to be really strategic with what they promise versus what they can deliver.
That sounds like an awful lot of work, you know what I mean? Like, I just certainly, I will be one of those people who will point out when the Vanarchs aren't working hard enough, and will flame them on the forums in the appropriate places. But that's very interesting.
Well, so for them, what they get is they get their guild emblem all over the map. So whenever somebody rides into their territory, they get instant recognition. They get their entire guild gets a special Vanarch mount, which is faster than the normal mount, and it looks very visually distinctive. And they also get kickbacks on all the taxes that they earn inside their province. So there's definitely an incentive for Vanarchs, depending on how you rule, to either work really hard to get reelected and to keep inside that Vanarch area, or just to get elected one time, blow all of your campaign promises, earn a bunch of cash, and then probably never get elected again. So I think there's definitely a balance of people, and I think we're going to see both types. I really do.
That's hilarious. Okay, cool. Okay, and then how many can you have 19 Vanarchs at the same time?
You can't have 19 Vanarchs at the same time, because you can only be Vanarch of one province at a time.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
So it will be interesting, because we think that players are going to follow wherever the most dense population of players are going to be is where the real strategy is coming in for owning that or running that province. Because if you've got a couple hundred people versus a couple thousand people at different level ranges. Well, a couple thousand people is going to earn more prestige for your guild and also more money from taxes.
Okay.
So it's going to be an interesting battle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
GameBreaker TV.